So, what if the very tools you trust to build your digital world were secretly betraying you? Well, it turns out some of the most helpful code packages out there, the actual building blocks of our apps, can hide some really dangerous secrets. We're going to see how a tool that looks perfectly useful can turn into a complete and total nightmare.
Okay, check out this number, 56,000. That is how many times developers downloaded just one single software package from a public library. They all thought they were grabbing a helpful tool to build their apps. They were dead wrong. So the package was called lotusbail. And, on the surface, it looked perfect. It promised a working API for WhatsApp, and it was even based on a real trusted library. For any developer, this looks like a fantastic shortcut, a real time saver. Yeah, but behind that shiny promise of functionality, something else was going on. It wasn't just connecting apps to WhatsApp. It was doing something way, way more sinister. It turns out, underneath that working exterior, lotusbail was actually a super sophisticated piece of malware. It was basically a digital Trojan horse, designed from the ground up for a complete and total data heist. And we're not talking about just a little data grab here. No, the scope of this thing was absolutely staggering. This malware was built to steal everything: your login tokens, your entire message history, all your contacts, photos, files, the whole shebang. And maybe the most alarming part, it installed a permanent backdoor into the victim's account.
So you're probably wondering, how in the world did they pull this off? Well, the way the attack works is actually both simple and kind of brilliant. It's what we call a software supply chain attack, where the bad guys poison one of the ingredients, in this case a piece of code, that everybody else uses to build their stuff.
Okay, so the secret sauce here is something called a malicious WebSocket wrapper. I know, it sounds super technical, but just think of it like this. Imagine a corrupt mailman. You give him your letter to deliver, and he does. But before he delivers it, he secretly opens it, makes a copy of everything inside, and then seals it back up. You'd never even know what happened. That's exactly what this code was doing with your WhatsApp data. But the scariest part of this whole attack was the backdoor it created. So, when a developer used this library, the malware would totally hijack the login process. It used a hidden, hard-coded pairing code to secretly link the attacker's own device to the victim's WhatsApp account. And that's where this quote from security researcher Tuval Admoni just hits so hard. He said the victim thinks they're just connecting their app, but what they're really doing is handing a stranger a key to their entire WhatsApp life. And get this, that link stays there, even if you find the bad package and uninstall it later. It's crazy. Okay, so you might be thinking, that's awful, but it's just one package, right? Well, wrong. It would be bad enough if lotusbail was just a one-off thing. But it's not. This is just one piece of a much wider web of deceit, a pattern we're seeing all over the open source world. Literally, at the same time all this was going on, researchers at a company called Reversing Labs found a whole different campaign on another platform, this one called NuGet. And what did they find? 14 malicious packages using almost the exact same strategy, just going after a different target. You see the pattern here, right? The playbook is identical. The lotusbail attack used a malicious package to steal WhatsApp data. This other attack used the same method to go after something just as valuable: people's cryptocurrency wallets. It's the same exact strategy, just a different prize at the end. So how are they tricking so many people? I mean, these developers are smart. Well, they've got this whole bag of tricks to make themselves look trustworthy. They'll impersonate legit tools, they'll fake their own popularity by pumping up their download numbers, and they'll constantly release new versions to look like they're being actively maintained. But the real kicker? The malicious part of the code, it doesn't even turn on until after you've installed it. And what this all adds up to is a really fundamental, kind of scary problem for modern software. We're looking at a new kind of vulnerability, you could call it a trust gap, that makes these attacks incredibly effective and just so hard to stop. This chart just spells it out perfectly. We usually trust code for a couple of big reasons. First, on the left, does it work? Yep, 100%. Works like a charm. Second, you look at the bar on the right. Is it popular? You betcha. With over 56,000 downloads, it sure seemed to be. The attackers have figured out how to manipulate the very signals we all rely on for trust. This quote from the Koi security report just absolutely nails it. The danger isn't that the code is broken. The danger is that it works perfectly while also doing something terrible in the background. It lives in that tiny, invisible gap between functionality and intent. And this really gets to the heart of the whole problem. I mean, think about how we build software today. It's like we're using these massive boxes of Legos, snapping together pre-made blocks of open source code. We're building these vast digital cities on a foundation of code written by countless strangers, and we just have to trust that every single one of those blocks is safe. So this leaves us with a pretty chilling question, doesn't it? When the very building blocks of our digital world can be Trojan horses, and when all the usual signs of safety can be faked, how do we build anything we can truly, really trust?